Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Kodani Jai Jaya Maya Poshashi. Iskon Guru in the key. So today is the disappearance day of Vrindavan Das Thakur, and he wrote Chaitanya Bhagavat. Is considered the incarnation of Vyasadeva. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur is a combined incarnation of Krishna, Dvaipayana Vyasa, and Pranika. He gave birth to Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, the author of Shri Chaitanya Bhagavat. Shri Vrindavan Das Thakur ki. Reading from the Nectar of Devotion, the qualities of Krishna. Highly intelligent. A man is called intelligent if he has a sharp memory and fine discretion. As far as Krishna's memory is concerned, it is said that when he was studying in the school of Sandipani Muni in Avantipur, he showed such a sharp memory that by once taking instructions from the teacher, he immediately became perfect in any subject. Actually, his going to the school of Sandipani Muni was to show the people of the world that however great or ingenious one may be, he must go to higher authorities for general education. However great one may be, he must accept a teacher or a spiritual master. Krishna's fine discretion was exhibited when he was fighting with the untouchable king who attacked the city of Mathura. According to Vedic rites, those who are untouchable are not to be touched by the Kshatriya kings, not even for killing. Therefore, when the untouchable king seized the city of Mathura, Krishna did not think it wise to kill him directly with his own hand. Still, the king had to be killed, and therefore Krishna decided to try this question. He would flee from the battlefield. So that so that the king's presence would awaken Muchikunda and he would be burned too. There you go. Follow. He enjoys the results of all by offering of clarified butter. Rajan, O king, yata, as much as Vipramukhe, through the mouth of a Brahmin, Hutai, by offering him first-class food. Translation: the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the enjoyer of sacrificial offerings. Yet, although his lordship eats the oblations offered in the fire, my dear king, he is still more satisfied when nice food, made of grains and ghee, is offered to him through the mouths of qualified Brahmins. Responsibly, please. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the enjoyer of sacrificial offerings. Yet, although his lordship eats the oblations offered in the fire, my dear king, he is still more satisfied when nice food, made of grains and ghee, is offered to him through the mouths of qualified Brahmins. By Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 3.9, Yugyar Tat Kamano Nitra Loko Jam Kama Bandhana, all fruit of activity should be performed for sacrifice, which should be directed toward pleasing Krishna. As stated elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita 5.29, Muktaram Yagata Pesham Savaloka Maheshwaram Suradam Savabhutanam Yapamam Shantam. He is the Supreme Lord and enjoyer and everything. However, although sacrifice may be offered to please Krishna, he is more pleased when grains and ghee, instead of being offered in the fire, are prepared as prasad and distributed first to the Brahmins and then to others. This system pleases Krishna more than anything else. Furthermore, at the present time, there is very little chance to offer sacrifices by pouring oblations of food, grains, and ghee into the fire. Especially in India, there's practically no ghee. For everything that should be done with ghee, people use a certain type of oil preparation. Oil, however, is never recommended for offering in a sacrificial fire. In Kali Yuga, the available quantity of food, grains, and ghee is gradually diminishing, and people are embarrassed that they cannot produce sufficient ghee and food grains. Under the circumstances, the Shastras enjoin Yagai Sankirtana Praya Yajanti Hi Samedasa. So Prabhupada's just quoted that, he's quoting it again. In this age, those who are intellectual offer yogya or perform sacrifices through the Sankirtan movement. Everyone should join the Sankirtan movement, offering to the fire of this movement the oblations of his knowledge and riches. In our Sankirtan movement or Hare Krishna movement, we offer sumptuous prasad to the deity, and they to distribute the same prasad to the Brahmins, the Vaishnavas, and then to the people in general. Krishna's prasad is offered to the Brahmins and Vaishnavas, and the prasad of the Brahmins and Vaishnavas is offered to the general populace. This kind of sacrifice, chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, and distribution of prasad is the most perfect and bona fide way of offering sacrifice for the pleasure of Yogya or Vishnu. Om Agyanatamaranda Shagananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmanitam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasali Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanshakapatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha paritanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So that verse again. Krishna varnam tvisha krishnam sango pangastra pashadam yugai sankirtana praya yajanti samedasa. So that's the process of sacrifice. And if that's established, then family life will be ideal, sannyas will be ideal, brahmachari will be ideal, vanaprastha will be ideal, everything will be ideal. Somebody just the other day rang me up, and he's doing Sankirtan in a particular area, and he said he's experiencing Sankirtan fade. Because we've been talking about japa fade. Vaisheshika Prabhu was talking about when you start to lose the enthusiasm. So he's getting Sankirtan fade. Which is interesting, isn't it? Because Srila Prabhupada doesn't mention Sankirtan fade. In this particular section, he's mentioning over and over again Krishna Varnam Tushar Krishna. If you're intelligent, then you'll engage. So it may be that you engage in the Sankirtan Yugya initially out of some sentiment, and then later on you realize you actually haven't got the intelligence to keep going. So there's 4 types of people that come to Krishna, and most of us come in distress, and we take up the Sankirtan and we feel some relief, and then after feeling some relief, some of us get Sankirtan fade, and we don't really want to go out and give people the holy name or take the holy name ourselves very much. So we get Sankirtan fade and japa fade. Start to find japa. I'm thinking of compiling a book, actually. It's called 64 Excuses for Not Chanting Japa. One of them is it's boring. So you're chanting. Well, actually, what's happening is you're hearing that you're not hearing. You ever had that experience? You're hearing that you're not hearing. From the way you chant, you realize, I'm not actually hearing this, because if I was hearing it, it wouldn't be having this effect upon me. What do you think, Jayananda? You suffering from class fade? So you may come out of distress and out of some sentiment, and you feel some relief, and then after a while, because the intelligence isn't there, then you desist, you fade away. So the challenge is, Krishna says, of the 4 types of people, the one that approaches him searching for the absolute truth is the most dear to him. So what he's telling us indirectly is, it's not enough that you've come to me in distress. You need to develop the intelligence to understand that I'm the absolute truth that you're searching for. So then you have to shift gears. You come in 4th gear. You come in 1st gear. Then you have to shift up into 4th gear. You have to be understanding intelligently. Krishna is the Supreme Person. He's come as Lord Chaitanya. Sankirtan Yugya. We've got to do that, otherwise we're finished. Okay. Then you shift up into 4th gear, and then you can really start moving. And you only have a certain period of time to be able to do that in. If you don't go from just joining because you're out of some sentiment to get some relief, then after a while, when you do get that relief, then you'll lose the impetus for wanting to practice Krishna consciousness, and you'll experience Sankirtan fade. So what to do? You're on Sankirtan, and it's fading away. You're fading away. The result is fading away. And the mind is playing the tune. Have you heard the tune the mind plays when you're on Sankirtan and you're starting to fade? Dee, 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 dee. I'm out all day and no one's stopping. I can't remember when the last person took a boo. Dee, 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 dee. So that's the Sankirtan fade record. And then there's the japa fade. You know the japa fade record? Dun, 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 dun. Put on your bead bag and get bored to death. Do, 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 do. The death march. So it seems really simple. Well, just be intelligent. I must be intelligent. I'm doing Sankirtan. Great. I'm one of the few, the chosen few. But can you sustain the enthusiasm. And the enthusiasm can only be sustained if it's bolstered by intelligence. So the intelligence is where you get your determination. When you're able to determine the right course of action, it means the determination is good, which means the intelligence is good. So the conclusion would be, wow, I have to be so enthusiastic, I have to be so confident, I have to be so patient. That's the conclusion of good intelligence. But if the intelligence is weak, then the mind pushes the intelligence out the way and says, no, don't care about that. We're going to do this instead. So in Kali Yuga, we take the bull by the horns, we take the mind by the horns, and we say, nope, we're going to chant, we're going to hear, and we're going to go and distribute the holy name. That's what we're supposed to do. So get on board, get with it. Sankirtana Praya Yagya. That's the yagya for this age. And it's the easiest. You may think, I think I'd rather do a fire sacrifice. That looks easy. All you got to do is pour the ghee on and go, swaha. But they were doing a fire sacrifice at Naimisharanya and they were realizing it wasn't going to work. And then that's when the Bhagavatam was recited, because they could see that in the future that yagya wasn't going to be sufficient. Buddhani buddhikamani shrota vani vivagasa atta sadotretsam samujita minishaya bruhi badraya bhutanam yenatmasu prasidati. Please select out of all the scriptures the essence by which hearing people's hearts will be fully satisfied. So they were saying, let's not beat around the bush here. We haven't got time for all the different scriptures. We just need what is it in this age. And then Manda Samanda. In fact, that's the verse before, isn't it? Manda Samanda Matayo. Pranapaya Sasabya Kala Yasmin Yugajaga. Manda Samanda Matayo. Manda Bhagya Upadruta. Oh, learned one. In this iron age of Kali, men are short-lived. They are lazy, quarrelsome, unlucky, and above all, always asleep in class. And above all, always disturbed. Upadruta. Always disturbed. And always a disturbance. If you're disturbed, you're generally a disturbance as well. Because if you're annoyed, you want to annoy somebody else. So always a disturbance. If the mind is disturbed, then the person is disturbed. And Krishna says, one must learn to tolerate without being disturbed. So a disturbed person is also a discouraged person. It's like there's somebody I'm keeping in touch with right now, and he has suicidal thoughts at times, and he gets very discouraged and very disturbed. And he says, give me one good reason why I shouldn't commit suicide. So I was saying, well, it's very rare that somebody knows about Krishna in the first place, and you're going out and you're giving books. He does book distribution from time to time, goes around and gives books out. So that's very valuable. But then I was reflecting, another good reason is because you'll have to come back as a ghost. Because if you terminate your own life, say you're due to live to your 70 and you terminate your life at 35, you multiply 35 by 5, and that's how long you have to stay in the body of a ghost. Because you've just been given a vehicle and you've decided to destroy that vehicle. So then material nature won't give you a body straight away. And you have to be penalized. So whatever amount of time is left, that's multiplied by 5, and that's how long you stay as a ghost. So try to tolerate whatever the problems are. Try to live this life out to its full duration. And then that's it. That's finished. Otherwise, who knows what will happen. That devotee that's just starting to take disciples, and he's got an initiated Prabhupada disciple, Bhadra Narayana. Is it? Yeah. A while now, yeah. Yeah, he's an amazing speaker. And he said that at one time he was working for the Samaritans, and somebody was on the other side and they were saying, oh, I want to finish my life. And he says, well, you're going to stay alive for your family. And he goes, I haven't got any family. He said, well, you stay alive for your pet dog. He says, I haven't got a pet dog. So we'll stay alive so that you can do the hobby that you like doing. He said, I don't like doing anything. And he said, I was thinking of going over and pushing them off myself. So sometimes people can find themselves in a very discouraged situation, and they need reasons to be able to continue on. So guaranteed, you do need to build up your intelligence right now. It's very, very important. And if you don't memorize verses and you don't learn the scriptures properly, then when you are assaulted by disturbance and discouragement, then that could be one of the options, you know. To self-destruct. That's the mode of ignorance, you see. And because the mode of ignorance is very prevalent, then you do harm to yourself and you do harm to others. And when a person is thinking of ending his life, he becomes so obsessed with himself that he forgets the effect that will have on everybody else around him that loves him. There was one man, his friend took him to a tree and he said, I'm going to hang myself from this tree. We did a course on mental health. So when they get specific, that's when it's dangerous. So he said, this is the tree, this is the rope I'm going to use. So his friend realized. So you never guess what his friend did. He went back to the man's wife and he asked her for a teddy bear, because they had a little son, you see, who was only like 4 years old. So she gave him the teddy bear and he nailed the teddy bear to the tree. And the next day the man went out with his rope to throw around the branch of the tree, and he saw the teddy bear and he remembered he's got a 4-year-old child, and he came back to the house and he said to his friend, thanks for saving my life. Any questions or comments? I'm getting voice fade. Very well.
There's a point in the Prabhupada said we should join the same kind of layer for this relations. When we clarify what that means, join the same kind of movement, does it mean that we have to go out and distribute books and do Hari Nam every day or those ways to join the same kind of movement?
What's the actual one who understands the Sankirtan movement?
Everyone should join the Sankirtan movement, offering to the fire of different places of acknowledgement. What does it mean to join the Sankirtan movement?
Actually, that came up last night. You're talking about how do you get through the stage of a not in nivritti. So can you do it without being initiated? So there's different stages. There's Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, then there's Bhajana Kriya, then there's a not in nivritti. So a not in nivritti doesn't start until there's Bhajana Kriya. And Bhajana Kriya is when you take initiation. So up until that point, you're kind of a casual practitioner of Krishna consciousness. You can take it or leave it. You can come and you can go. And then you reach a certain point where you sign the dotted line. Especially when you take second initiation. That's the first initiation is encouragement for you to become strong, and then second is your commit. So once you commit, then you're declaring war. And then when you're at war, you start noticing you have unwanted things in the heart. And then, can you stick around long enough to get to the stage of nishta, which means 75% of the anarthas are removed, and then from nishta, you can start getting a taste, ruchi, and then practice raganuga bhakti. So somebody may be in the Krishna consciousness movement, somebody may be in the temple, somebody may be asleep, somebody may be living outside, somebody may come on a Sunday, but what really is the defining factor is who is committed to the process of sadhana bhakti. And generally that is through initiation. Sometimes in exceptional cases like Srila Prabhupada, he took Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's words to heart immediately. And for some of us, it may be a gradual process that by chanting, one of the offenses is to disregard the spiritual master. So by attentively chanting, we can become free from the envy that makes us disregard the spiritual master and come to the point where we have full love and full enthusiasm to follow the spiritual master's instructions. And then you could say, oh, at that point, this person is now in the Sankirtan. So it's like shades of gray. We're going from black to white, and we're different levels of commitment, different levels of realization, different levels of taste. But to go back to Goloka, back to Krishna's planet, you have to be spontaneous, Raganuga Bhakti. Otherwise, Vaidhi Bhakti, just doing things because you're supposed to do them. Oh, and I'm supposed to get up now and do this. Well, I'm supposed to go to class, so try and stay away. Oh, so I'm supposed to go out in Sankirtan. Okay, I'll do it. That's Vaidhi Bhakti. That takes you to Vaikuntha. And Raganuga Bhakti is, you're so fired up. Even if we super glued your sleeping bag, you'd still find a way to get out in the morning. Have such a strong desire, and you're experiencing a taste. So the man that's running waist deep in water, he's running, his knees are going up and down, and his feet are going from 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch. But then the man that gets out the water, he's running, but he's running a lot faster because he's no longer dragged back by his anartas. So that's when it becomes spontaneous, when you don't experience the drag anymore. And for us, we're following the Brijbasi, Srila Prabhupada. He's our Brijbasi. We're following his example. He's the founder of Acharya. He's our saving grace, his divine grace. So we read his books. We're all his Shiksha disciples. We hear his lectures. We offer flowers to him every day and thank him for coming here to help us, save us. And by his mercy and his example, and by following what Srila Prabhupada has laid out for us, then we're on the path of Raganuga Bhakti. And Lord Chaitanya's movement is to take us to Goloka. Raghunath Das, Goswami and Manashiksha, he says, don't be diverted by the forms of Narayan. Shishi Gaunitai Maya Pashashiki Jai. So we're very fortunate that we have Gaunitai in our temple. Lord Chaitanya in the mood of Srimati Radharani, and he will give us access to the spontaneous devotional service practiced in Braj. But we have to take it. It's being offered, but we have to take it. We have to be eager. Are we chanting eagerly, or are we chanting sleepily? Have you ever seen an eager person that was sleepy? I'd really like to. Oh, I would. I'd really like. You don't see it, right? An eager person isn't sleepy. Even if he's tired, right? Say you hadn't slept for 3 years, and then somebody put a mound of gold in front of you and said, "Would you like this gold?" You'd be like, "Yeah," you know. That's what an eagerness is. Any other questions or comments?
So there was a devotee in San Diego, Bhakta, that she was already a Bhakta when I came, had been a Bhakta for several years. He remained a Bhakta his entire life. Basically, he never took initiation because he couldn't follow the four regular principles, especially intoxication. But in his lifetime, he made his mother into a devotee. He made his sister into a devotee. He brought 2 other people and made them into devotees. He stayed serving the devotees his entire life. He didn't live in the temple. He would come and clean the temple, do all kinds of menial service. Never took initiation. When he left his body, with Srila Prabhupada tape playing and devotees chanting around him. He was part of the Sankirtan movement. There was no doubt about it.
Yeah.
He just didn't take that step. So there are exceptional cases where people dedicate their lives to the propagation of the holy name. They just don't formalize it.
Yeah. Actually, that point came up. Chaitanya Charan was saying, Krishna throws a rope down. And for some people, they're so strong, they can climb up the rope. They can pull themselves up the rope. And some are a bit weaker. So when the rope goes, they just hold it and Krishna pulls them up. And some of them are so weak that when he throws the rope down, he has to tie a seat on the end of it. And that person just sits in the seat and Krishna pulls him up. And Chaitanya Charan was saying, so some people, they'll achieve perfection just by hearing, some by studying, and some by preaching. But we don't know which one we are, so we try the best that we can. And because Krishna has a loving heart, he'll accommodate us if we don't try to take advantage of it. If we could actually be a preacher and we just want to sit there in the seat and take it easy, then Krishna is like, okay, well, if you're going to try to exploit my kindness, then I'm going to reciprocate with what you're doing. But if the person is trying the hardest he can, then Krishna doesn't see the faults. He just says, well, he just sees, well, this is the best the person can do, and I'm going to pull him back, you know. They say that Lord Jagannath, he has unblinking eyes because he's always watching the devotees. Wherever good things the devotees do, Lord Jagannath is watching. And the only time Lord Jagannath blinks is when the devotee does something wrong, so he doesn't see it. So Lord Jagannath is 100% merciful. The only reason you get a reaction if you're worshipping Lord Jagannath is if Balaram is there. If you make some mistake, then Balaram hit you on the head with a club. But Lord Jagannath, he's like Lord Chaitanya. He's just immersed in this prema, you know. And so we're very fortunate if we don't try to exploit the kindness. Krishna is very accommodating. If you can't do this, then just do that. If you can't do that, then, you know, he's willing to bend over backwards to facilitate us. So don't take advantage of that kindness. Just try the best that you can, understanding that if that's the best that you can do, then that's enough for Krishna. That's all he wants. Just try the best you can. That's namabhas, is that you're trying the best that you can. And then Shuddhanam is when you're developing affection. And it's interesting also, we're going through Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani now. The criterion for being a pure devotee isn't following 4 regular principles, getting up for Mangalarti, chanting rounds, distributing 1,000 books a day. The criterion is pure faith. So somebody may be following everything really strictly, but he doesn't have any faith in Prabhupada or the Radha and Krishna or the Supreme. So that's our ticket back. That's what makes it all valid, that we have that faith. And then how much it manifests. There's a nice book called Greetings from Vrindavan by Dhanadhar Swami. And he says he was in a class and Buddhajan was asked the question, how do we deal with our personal weaknesses? And Buddhajan says, we should sincerely repent those things that we're not able to do. And we should do the things that we can do as enthusiastically as we can, you know. So then Dhanadhar Swami went away and he reflected. He says, sometimes do we preach the ideals of Krishna consciousness in such a way that people become guilt-ridden and they become overwhelmed with particular aspects and principles of the philosophy that they're not able to fully follow right now? Is Krishna consciousness judged by the impeccable practice of all the external principles, or by the sincere endeavor to move toward Radha and Krishna? So and Krishna is rasagrahi. He's not interested in the externals, he's interested in what's going on in the heart. What is your desire? Do you really want him more than anything else? Yeah.
You have to do something you want to do.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking sometimes you might have little drops of doing something that you want to do.
Yeah.
And then everything else you're doing because you have to do it. So do we focus more on what we want to do and like to do, or do we just focus more on what we have to do?
Yeah, that's a good question, yeah. Yeah, there was one devotee, he said to Prabhupada, I want to go to Russia and preach. And Prabhupada said, I want you to stay here and be an artist. And so he was doing the artwork, but he kept thinking, I'm taking the easy way out, you know. So he went back to Prabhupada and said, look, Prabhupada, I think I should go and open a center in Russia. And Prabhupada said, no, I want you to stay here and be an artist. George Harrison wanted to join, he wanted to shave his head and be a Hare. And Prabhupada said, no, you stay outside, George, you write your songs and you'll attract people that way. So the defining principle is, what does the spiritual master want us to do? And Guru Tattva, he's aware of what Krishna wants. Although he's a jiva, he's so connected with Krishna. He's fully aware. And if that's what Krishna wants you to do, then that's fine. So we look at what we're doing and we think, is this actually what's pleasing our spiritual master? Like we may find it really hard to do book distribution and we decide, okay, but my spiritual master would really be pleased if I did this. So we start doing it. And we may not be very good at it at first, but we start feeling, wow, I feel like I'm pleasing my spiritual master by doing this. And then we become more and more empowered, more and more capable of doing it. We get more and more confidence and we get more and more ability. So we have to go outside what we think we're capable of doing. You know, if you said to, if I came to you 10 years ago and said, Prabhu, you're going to be out on Princess Street and you're going to approach someone, they're going to give you £500. No, not me. Not me, sorry. Maybe Rupa Goswami or Prahlad Maharaj, but not me. So we're not aware of what we're actually capable of doing. But if we have faith in our spiritual master's instructions and we just follow them, then all kinds of amazing things can take place. So don't sell yourself short. Don't just go by according to what you think you're capable of, because you can do a lot more than that. And there may be some things that you like doing more than others. And on the nature of Krishna consciousness says, if you keep doing the things that you can do, then eventually you'll be able to do the things that you can't do. But if you become overwhelmed with the fact that, oh, I just can't do that. Oh, no, I just can't do that. And therefore, I shouldn't really even be doing this. No, you can do that, so do that. And if you keep doing it, eventually you'll find you can do it. Like Vaisheshika Guru was saying, he says, your pledge is your wedge. And he said, the thing about a wedge is the thinner the edge, the easier it is to bang it in. Like if my wedge is 8 inches wide and I'm trying to bang it into this wall, I'm going to get nowhere, you know. But if my wedge is just razor edge, and the pledge could be, I'm going to chant one extra mantra. I'll do my 16 rounds, but I'll do one extra mantra. So you do the one extra mantra. So that wasn't difficult. I could do 2 extra mantras. And then before you know it, it's an extra round. So your pledge is your wedge, and you make sure it's razor thin to start with. It's just so definitely said it has to be above 0 and not less than 1. I think something like that anyway. But it's something which is doable. You know, you can definitely do it. Like if you're a smoker, right, and you smoke 100 cigarettes a day, and you decide from now on 99.5. So you smoke the 100th one, and just as it goes halfway, you snap it and throw it away. And then the next day, 99. And then the next day, 98.5. So whatever it is that you're struggling with, rather than trying to do the whole thing in one go, just think, okay, well, what would be one step in the direction of doing that? Okay, well, let me just do that then. And it will just build up. Once it goes in, you just got to keep bashing it. And then the wedge gets wider and wider and wider. And so he was saying, Vaisheshika Guru, what is really good to do is write down your goals. Because once they're out there, once they're manifested in some form or another, then it's only a question of time. Establish what the goals are, write them down, and then head that direction, whatever it is. It's an interesting subject because devotees will naturally gravitate to particular services that they feel comfortable to do. And so that's like our foundational devotional service. And we become established in that, in a particular ashram and in a particular service. And like Prajuna Prabhu was saying, everyone is in the Sankirtan movement that's cooperating because we're all assisting each other. Like in the army, if everybody just runs out with the guns and they're pulling the triggers, and then someone says, hey, did anyone make any bullets? And then the other says, are you kidding? We haven't got time to make the bullets. We're busy out here on the front line trying to shoot the guns. Never mind making the bullets, boy. well, we haven't got any bullets. We're not going to be able to shoot anybody. Okay, well, he needs to go back and make the prasadam then, and he needs to go and make sure the books get printed, you know. So everyone's part of the army. And we find out what it is we're good at doing. And then the things that we're not so good at doing, then we can practice. We can try and learn, you know. It's funny, you know, when you play Mridanga, not that I can play it, but I kind of bang it in a way which I can get away with. But Prana was saying, do this, like that, and this, and I was doing it. It didn't make any sense at all. I was thinking, how are you going to be able to do all that and sing on top and get it in time, you know? And then one day, it's muscle memory. You just find yourself doing it without even thinking. It just kind of happens, you know? So Krishna consciousness is a little bit like that. You're thinking, excuse me, would you like a book? No. Excuse me, would you like a book? No. And you're thinking, okay, this is just not working, you know? But you keep doing it and then it suddenly starts to flow when it just happens naturally. And there's a series of podcasts by Shiva Ramos called Don't Get in the Way. And he said, you can get to the point on Sankirtan where you don't have to say anything. You can just go up to them and go, and give them the book and then just point at the book. So that shows it's got nothing to do with ability. It's just to do with faith, enthusiasm, and taste, you know. So whenever we're thinking we can't do anything or we can't do that, we should think, well, that's right, I can't do that, but Krishna can. And Krishna's like the father. The little boy's trying to lift up this weight, and he's really struggling, and the father sees him trying hard, so he gets behind the boy, and he lifts the weight, and then the boy's like, wow. And that's only because the father's helping him. And as soon as the boy forgets it, and the father says, oh, okay, you can lift the weight. Oh. Like when they were holding up Govardhan, Krishna was holding up Govardhan Hill, so all the cowherd men were holding it up with sticks as well. And then Krishna was looking at something and he started to shake, and all the cowherd were like, oh. It was Krishna that's doing it. And there was a head in a tree, Baribal, wasn't it? The head of Baribal. He saw the entire Mahabharata. And afterwards they were saying, who was the man of the war? Was it Bhishma? Or was it Arjuna? Was it Yudhisthira? And this head from the tree said, it was Krishna. I could see everything going on, and it was Krishna that did everything. He said he could see a Sudarshan chakra. Although Arjuna was firing the arrows, it was the Sudarshan chakra that came in and killed everybody. Baribal was the son of Gotakach, and he could have killed everybody in a few seconds on the battlefield. He had this mystical ability to fire the arrow, and it would just kill everybody, you know. So Krishna is the doer. And then if we remember that, we think, okay, well, I can't do this, but Krishna can, you know. I was in the shops the other day, and because it was bank holiday, a lot of them were short, you know. And it was a tough spot. And I went in this one place, and there's this really massive guy, you know. It's like he sells all the whey protein, you know, and he's into boxing and martial arts, really, you know. And it's like, excuse me, I'm a monk from Lesmahago. And the guy was like, oh, okay, what you want? Can you help? Yeah. And he gave this big donation, and I said, oh, could you make it this much? He goes, yeah. And he, for some reason, he was just really, maybe not afraid, but really respectful, you know. And he'd studied some kind of martial arts and so he admired somebody that was like leading a renounced life, disciplined life. Immediately, he was like that, you know. So that wasn't me. That was like, you know, something else just took over. I was actually going to go back to the car because my feet were killing me. And then there was this extra row of shops. And by that time, there's a certain point when you're doing Sankirtan where suddenly you just kind of get in the groove, and suddenly everybody starts doing it. You know, it's like you suddenly get the golden touch, and everyone's just ding, yeah, I'll do it. Ding, you can't put a foot wrong, you can't say a thing wrong. But sometimes you have to work all day to get to that point, and there's suddenly this turning point. And suddenly everyone likes you, everyone trusts you, everyone thinks your jokes are funny, everybody wants to give you, everybody wants to do what you're asking them to do. But you have to work hard to get that. And it's like then Krishna steps in. And then when he does, don't forget that that's Krishna doing it. Don't start thinking, did you see that? We used to have this thing in the morning at the manor where you read out the scores. And Maha Big Bhaktas did 150 books yesterday, collected 500 pounds. And this is just before Japa, and Maha Big Bhaktas is there like, looking over at the mat to see if they're checking them out. So they stopped doing it. They stopped doing it after a while. Because it's not us doing it, it's Krishna that's doing it. So if you start thinking it's you and you're taking the credit for it, then you cut off the mercy. Because Krishna's not going to want to put you in a situation which is going to be dangerous for you. So therefore he'll stop you getting that result so that you can become humble, you know. So if you're on Sankirtan and it's really tough, you can thank Krishna. Oh, well, thanks Krishna, at least you think I'm strong enough to do really tiny today. Whereas if you're a really weak devotee, Krishna's got to give you the result to keep you going, you know. Anyway, there's a bit of both going on there. Yeah, that's right. One devotee asked Sri Rama, she said, Maharaj, I go out and I do Sankirtan and I do really, really well. And this devotee is really sincere. He gets up at 3 o'clock, he reads and he studies and he struggles so much on Sankirtan. But I'm just messing around. I watch films, I get up late, don't chant all my rounds. And I just clean up on Sankirtan. And I think it was Sri Raj. Anyway, this devotee says, yeah, that's because if you didn't get the result, you would just go away. Okay, any last question? A little one from Jordan.
It's really just about the kind of initiation. I like the story of the man to San Diego, and that's kind of just what I'm tuning into at the moment, like, because obviously
Yeah.
there's like a week left.
Yeah.
It's just kind of the next steps for me.
Mm.
I found something I wanted to be a part of, and it's just about where they are in that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, some devotee were, Harikesh, one of our devotees was saying, there's so many people come up to me and saying, I'm worried about the future. He says, I can tell you what the future is. You're going to grow old and die. So that whatever else happens is a minor detail, but that's mainly what's going to happen. And we've got from now to whenever that is to get ourselves ready. And then the other things, we try and fit them in. Like this teacher went up to the kids in the classroom and he had this big glass vase and he threw a few stones in it till it was up and he says, is it full? And the kid said, yeah. And then he went back and he got some small pebbles. He put them in and they all went down the side of the big stones. And he says, is it full now? And the kid said, yeah. Then he got some sand and he shook it and the sand went and he says, is it full now? And the kid said, it's definitely full now. And then he got some water and he poured the water in and then it was full. And he said to the kids, what do you think that means? So the kids weren't quite sure what it meant, you know. You've got to squeeze in everything as much as you can, you know. And he said, what it means is if you take care of the important things, you'll fit everything else in one way or the other. But try and understand, try and prioritize what are the important things. Get them in the glass jar first. Whereas if you fill it with water first, and then try and put some sand in, and then try and put some pebbles in, and then try and get this, it's not going to work. So get the big ones in first, and then everything else can fit in around that. And yeah, like Prajum is saying, ultimately, what's going on in your heart is the most important thing. Generally for us, we commit in a public way, and it makes it easier for us then to do when we don't really want to do it. If you've promised to do something and then you don't really want to do it, then you've got more chance of doing it, you know. So it's just an extra layer of protection. And if the best we can do is whatever we're doing, and it's not that we ever take initiation, but that's the best we can do, then Krishna will be happy with that. But we shouldn't decide that that is the best that I can do before we've tried, you know. It may turn out that when we try and we get initiated, we get completely fired up and we're just like so, like a ball of enthusiasm, you know. And everyone we come in touch with, they want to take up Krishna consciousness, you know. If you can do that, if you can become an empowered preacher, then that's the best. You don't know until you try. It may turn out that you can, you know. If everyone shoots for the white rhinoceros, then even if you miss it, you'll hit something. Yes, Ganguru in the key. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Nita Gaura Premanandi Haribol.